Federal judges said the state's 2011 congressional district map is no good, discriminates against minorities. Still, there is no clear path on what happens next. Democrats want answers, and among them, State Representative Eric Johnson from Dallas. He is asking for a hearing in the House and is in studio to talk about what might happen next. Good morning to you, Eric.
Good morning, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You asked for a hearing in the House Committee on Redistricting. Have you gotten a response, and what do you hope that might lead to?
Now, I just sent the letter a couple days ago, so I'm not too worried about not having received a response yet, but what I am concerned about is whether or not the committee is actually going to ultimately have a hearing to discuss this ruling.
And what would a hearing lead to, do you think?
Well, let me just say this first of all. I mean, this ruling is...
That's from the three-judge panel.
Right. This is a copy of the ruling. It's 165 pages. It's significant. It has a lot of information in here about what we did wrong in 2011 when we drew 3 congressional districts in this state, the 23rd, the 27th, and the 35th. Now, what I want at a minimum is for us to be briefed on what this means. At a minimum, my position is that it means that the 2 districts, the 27th and the 35th, that didn't change from 2011 to 2013, in which we are still using now to run congressional races in those districts, need to be looked at immediately and be corrected as soon as possible.
Marv Vesey's district is one of these as well here too.
This is one of the ones that was actually created in the 2013 redistricting. This is really about the 2011.
The 11 one. Thanks for clarifying that. But you also asked for a hearing on House Bill 1215, which would include state prison inmates in the counts. They can't vote. Why should they be included?
Right. That's my question. It's called prison-based gerrymandering. It's been going on for a long time, not just in Texas but in other places. You can count inmates one of 2 ways. You can count them where they're from, or you can count them where they're incarcerated. It doesn't make much sense to count them where they're incarcerated. They're not part of the community. They can't even vote while they're incarcerated. They should be counted where they're from, which would actually change the apportionment of congressional districts quite a bit, I think, in certain districts, particularly in urban areas like mine, where many of these inmates are actually from.
Texting and driving is another issue. Is making some progress down there at the Capitol where you guys are working. You added an amendment to the bill which says police officers cannot arrest people for texting and driving.
Right.
Do you support the legislation overall?
I do. I voted for the bill for the first time, actually. I've been opposed to it in the past, but primarily because I wasn't convinced before that texting and driving was any different than other forms of distracted driving, like doing your hair while driving, putting on makeup while driving, tending to kids, in your back seat while driving. But I've found out that it's actually significantly more dangerous than those forms of distracted driving. And I've actually amended the bill, or I was able to amend the bill to prevent it from being something you can be arrested for, so I'm much more comfortable with it now.
And final moments here too. This has passed before, but do you think this has any better of a chance of passing this time?
No one knows what's ultimately going to happen between the House and Senate right now. There's a dynamic there that's interesting to watch, to say the least.
Sounds good. Eric Johnson, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.